Now, the Republicans are pretty much banking on people seeing benefits from the Trump tax cuts in their everyday lives, in their paychecks every week. In fact, they continue to boast about, oh, this is going to be fantastic for the middle class. They're going to make so much more extra money, and that is going to help us win in 2018. It's going to help us win the midterms. And not only that, it's also going to help President Trump, because look at how much we cut taxes. Well, unfortunately for them and for the American people, a lot of people have not been seeing any sort of benefit from the tax cuts. In fact, a recent poll that was released by CNBC's All America Economic Survey is conducted by Hart Research Associates and Public Opinion Strategies, and it was done actually in mid-March. The results of this found that not very many people actually have noticed any extra money in their paychecks. In fact, only a third have noticed more money in their paychecks, and more than half, about 52%, said that they have seen absolutely no change at all. Now, according to the poll, the extra take-home pay is so inconsequential to most people that of the minority who say that they've noticed extra money, a little less than 40% say that it's improved their finances a great deal or fair amount, with the remainder saying that the money either helps a small amount or not at all. Well, there's a reason for that, because this tax bill helps corporations. In fact, 83% of the tax cuts, of the benefits of the tax cuts, went to the wealthiest Americans and corporations. That is, most of that $1.5 trillion went to the rich. Now, the cuts that regular people, typical Americans, workers, received are actually relatively minor. In fact, the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center estimated that the typical middle-income household, would see an after-tax gain of $930 in 2018 as a result of the new law. Assuming a one-paycheck household, that adds up to about $18 a week. $18 a week is not very much. And look, most people don't necessarily notice a very small amount extra in their paychecks. And there's actually some historical precedent on this one. Now, according to Stephen Leisman, senior economic reporter for CNBC, talking to the Washington Post, we'll go to that in a minute. That's on some of the other things that have eaten up this tax cut. But first, back in 2009, for example, when President Obama signed the Making Work Pay tax credit, people didn't really notice. They got an extra $1,200 in take-home pay in 2009 and 2010. However, that was not doled out all at once. It was very limited. So most people hardly even noticed. Now, if you just gave somebody $1,200, then they might actually notice, hey, look at that. The government just gave me a check for $1,200. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to go and pay off some bills, because that's mostly what happened. And we have precedent for that, too, because I remember George W. Bush and his stimulus package. I got $300. You know what I did? I paid fucking bills with it. $300 is not very much for every American. And look, some families got more, some got $600 and things like that. But most people basically use that money to pay down debts or save money. It was very responsible of us, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do. It didn't actually stimulate the economy. So that didn't go very far. And like I said, I remember because I actually received one of those checks. And I was very responsible with it, as was most people that I know that received that refund. So, look, that's what happened, right? Now, there is other reasons why people might not notice any extra money in their paychecks. And that would be some of this money, or a lot of it, is eaten up by other costs. For example, if somebody needed to contribute more to their health insurance premium that continues to rise thanks to, look, the destruction of some of the parts of the ACA, as well as the fact that the ACA didn't actually go far enough to stop the rising of premiums. Look, what it did is basically it slowed down the rise of premiums over the past few years. Well, that's good. Premiums are rising really, really fast, but they didn't stop rising with the ACA. That was one of the chief problems with it, is that it didn't slow it down enough. It didn't, because we have this for-profit healthcare system that we need to replace with a Medicare for all system. Now, more having to contribute more to their health insurance premium, well, that would eat up any sort of tax cut or any sort of benefit from the tax cut that people would see. So it would make sense that they didn't see any benefit. Now, how's that going to translate into the midterms? Well, probably not very much. Here's some more polling on how people actually will or have actually received this, right? 52% of Republicans in the CNBC poll say they've noticed more money in their paychecks, while only 20% of Democrats and 19% of independents claim the same thing. Now, the independents, they're the largest voting bloc in America. If they haven't seen a difference, well, then that could have a big impact on the elections. Now, as far as the Republicans, I think a lot of them see it because they want to see it. Oh, look at that. I got an extra, $20 in my paycheck this week. Yeah, the Trump tax cuts, those are working. Great. Love it. They see it even if it's crumbs, right? Or there's the other possibility that the people who do see it are more likely to be very wealthy because, again, there are a lot of Republicans that happen to be very wealthy people. So they look at their tax cut and they're like, hell yeah, I see a big difference. I love this. Because they're members of the top 10% who got some of the biggest gains. So there is that. This likely will play out in 2018. And not all that well for Republicans who were counting on these tax cuts to trickle down. Well, it doesn't trickle down. And here's your proof. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.